So when we look at how God created human beings, He created them for relationship. Therefore, human beings had to be created with free will. They had to be. Otherwise, it's robots. If human beings were just created to say, yes, Lord, would any of us look at that and say, that's true freedom? Could Christ really say, I came to set you free? If we do something that controls a person's words, emotions, or their physical place, we call that a crime, right? We call that evil. If someone's controlling another person, we don't look at that and say, well, this is really great. This is what I feel like I was destined for. I want that in my life. I'm so tired of being able to do what I want to do. I really wish someone would just control me in my own thought process. We reject that idea outright. That's like some sort of inherent reality inside of us to realize that humans controlling humans is not the way it's supposed to be. It may have to be that some way. You look at prisons or something like that where there's people that will cause harm and they need to be brought under control. That's fine. But when we look at how a relationship idea, you don't call the prison guard to the prisoner a healthy relationship. It's a necessary evil. So when we look back at creation, we look at this, and everything that happens in this life, we're constantly asking ourselves, why did it happen this way? Because of free will. So Adam and Eve had a choice at the tree. They had a choice. The scripture tells us that Eve was deceived by Satan, but the idea is that Adam actually rebelled against God. And so here, when we're looking at this, our sin as human beings caused this. You know, it's interesting because sin came into the world through Adam, right? But it was Satan who sinned before Adam. Satan fell from heaven with like 33% of the angels of heaven. And I'm not here to talk about the psychology of angels or how that worked or whatever. I think the scripture's somewhat silent about that, and I think we have to be careful. But evidently when angels fall, there's no redemption plan. They just fall. So Satan falls. He's cast down to the earth. And for whatever reason, whether it's pride, he made a choice at some point that he would reject the living God and he himself would try to ascend to the position of God. He sees human beings, God's pinnacle creation, humans, not animals, not nature, but humans, and he moves to destroy them. And so there he is lying about what God said. There he is trying to deceive Eve into eating from this other tree, the knowledge of good and evil. Really, the idea of that is eating a fruit which would then cause, in their eyes, or enlighten a human being to no longer have to depend on God to understand good and bad, but to be able to come to my own conclusions of good and bad. Which that's what we see. I mean, that's what society is today, 100%. Everybody deciding for themselves what is good and what is bad. And when you go to that type of society, ultimately there is no bad. Because if it's okay for me, I've decided, I have my own knowledge of good and evil, you can't tell me what's good and bad because I have my own decision. Which is it's a dark road. It's where you get to things like Stalin and Hitler that say, it is not bad for me to extinguish these human beings from the planet because I have esteemed that they're the problem in World War I Germany's financial issues. So therefore, we need to get rid of these guys because of their whatever. Right? He had a logical thought. It was illogical and disgusting and sinful and heinous, but in his knowledge of good and evil, he went to a place, and that's, in the end, it came to destructions of human beings. So in partaking of this, all of a sudden human beings have been endowed with this warped, sinful, corrupted idea of good and evil. Satan succeeds in his plan. But it's not Satan that drags the earth down, it's humans. The earth doesn't fall when Satan sins. The earth doesn't fall when Satan is cast down to the earth. There's some connection between human beings and the earth and the universe. Because we're told in the Bible that when human beings fell, the earth corrupted. That sin permeated not just the two individuals on the planet at the time, but the actual entire creation fell. And we're told in Romans that the creation is awaiting to be redeemed with the sons of God. So there's this whole plan that God is working out in this. So in our first question, why or how does sin happen? Sin happens because human beings brought it here. We introduced it. Now, what is sin? Sin is, yes, it's doing the naughty things, and that's fine, but it literally means to miss the mark. It means to miss God's best. And we know the mark because it's illustrated for us in the Old Testament. It's illustrated for us in the law. It's illustrated for us by Jesus. It's illustrated for us by John in his letters. Over and over again, the law and the prophets hang on this: to love the Lord your God with all your heart and to love your neighbor as yourself. So to sin, ultimately, is to not love. To not have a moral, genuine love for God, and to not love people around us. You know, the interesting thing about the whys is typically when we have a why, we attribute to something we don't like. Why did this happen? Why did this person get away with it? Why did 4 guys get to fly planes, or 6 guys get to fly planes and building and kill 2,900 people in one day? Why did they get to do that? Why is it that some terrorist plots are thwarted and other terrorist plots they go through? Why is it that warlords are able to just absolutely decimate people? Honestly, since the Fertile Crescent got taken over by Nimrod in Genesis until now. That's what Nimrod was. He was basically a warlord. And then he created his own religion based on the idea of a Madonna and a sun. It's actually pretty fascinating. So why do these things happen? They happen because people make decisions not to love.